Good morning, everybody. Shefa Baruch V'Atzlucha. We are standing a few days, 2 days before Shavuot, Chag Matan Torah, and our parashat Naso is really something that can prepare us very well to getting the Torah, to get to this level that we're supposed to get. K'ish echad v'lev echad. The whole idea of Sfirat HaOmer, that we are now counting the last days, is to build ourselves as a part of Am Yisrael, not as somebody who wants it for himself. Yes, you need and you have to develop your abilities and build yourself to the point that you fulfill your potential, but not for yourself, for everybody, for Am Yisrael. And this is the only way to get the Torah. Vayichan Sham Yisrael is written Vayichan Sham Yisrael and supposed to write Vayachanu. What is Vayichan Sham Yisrael? Talking to many people, so it should be in Rabim, in plural, and not in singular, but it's in singular, to make it sure that we understand, as Rashi said, Vayichat Sham Yisrael k'ish echad v'lev echad. We have to be like one. And when we talk about being like one, and it looks like an impossible mission, how can it be? So every year I tell the story, I have to tell it again, also this year. A few years ago, we went on Shavuot to Ir HaKodesh Yerushalayim, and went to daven in the great synagogue in Yerushalayim, and it was really an unbelievable experience. The place was full. There are a few thousand places there. It was full. People were standing, and they had a choir and a chazan, and it was just like this feeling like it's Jerusalem, the holy city, and this choir was like Kohanim ba'avodatam, like the priests, the Kohanim are working and doing the job. Uleviim b'shiram u'bezimram, and the Leviim are singing to God and bringing the sacrifices of Chag Shavuot. It was a great feeling, but that's nothing. The greatest feeling was when we decided to go and daven Vatikin in the Kotel. This is like you daven when it's the beginning of the day, when the sun gets up, and it's a special minute, and this Vatikim, this is the best time to pray Tfilat Shacharit. Anyway, we're going, and we realize that not only we're not alone, the streets are full with people, all kinds of people. Old people, young people, religious, not religious, Hasidim, Litaim, whatever, every kids, men, women, everybody was there. And when you walk in Jerusalem during the day, also sometimes all the streets are full. But now you're talking about the middle of the night, like just before the day starts, it's still very dark. And everybody's going in the same direction. Unbelievable. Everybody from all the streets are all coming, going where? To Beis HaMikdash, to the Kotel, Street Bet Mikdashenu. Unbelievable feeling. And there's kids from the yeshiva coming out and singing Tovli, 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 really great. Then we get to the Kotel. Wow, full with people. And we start davening. And it's a small problem, I am in the middle. Let's say I've got a minyan Ashkenaz. At my right side is a Yamanite minyan. At the left side, Adot HaMizrach. From behind, Parsian, I live in a different way. In front of me, Hasidim, and so on and on. And really, you couldn't hear anything. But then comes the moment that you connect Geula, the finishing Kriyat Shema, and you say it's Ga'al Yisrael, and you connect it to Shmoneh Esrei, and everybody's doing it in the same moment, as we said, Filat Vatikim, and suddenly, quiet. Everything becomes quiet, and you think to yourself, Am Yisrael standing there, all kinds of people, men, women, different minhagim, different opinions, and they all standing there, praying to God. K'ish echad v'lev echad, like one. And I felt, like we say, Mimini Michael, Mismoli Gavriel, Mimfanai Yoel, Machorai Rafael, V'aloshi Shchintel. On the right, the angel Michael. On the left, משמאלי, גבריאל, and so on. And I says to God, wow, look. So it is possible. And I think that everybody needs this experience at least once in a lifetime, and maybe when the Mashiach will come soon, we'll all have it again. That to have this feeling of everybody there, כאיש אחד בלב אחד. Unfortunately, it's very rare, and it doesn't happen a lot. And sometimes it brings us to really bad thoughts. What's going to be? Come down. In our parasha is teaching us an unbelievable thing. And by the way, we have in our parasha Birkat Kohanim, the blessing of the Kohanim that we all know. Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Hashem panav elecha v'yichuneka, Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And again here, we have a very interesting point. The Kohanim blessing who? The blessing all the congregation. So it should be not Yevarechecha in singular, but in plural. Yevarechechem v'yishmerchem, and so on. So why is all the Birkat Kohanim written in singular? Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Hashem panav elecha v'yichuneka, Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Remember what we said before? It's the same idea. כאיש אחד בלב אחד. When we want to get the blessing, fully get the blessing from God, because God is blessing us, not the Kohanim. It's through the Kohanim, but God is the one who blesses us. And He said to us, if you want to fulfill and to get this blessing, fully get it, like with all the things in it, we have to be like one. The whole congregation has to feel like one. And you know, if the Kohen doesn't like one of the congregation, he cannot say the bracha. And this is one of the interesting bracha that you say, Levarech et Amcha Yisrael be'ahava, that he has to bless Am Yisrael with love. Because without love, there is no blessing. Without loving each other, there is no blessing. And this brings us to another episode in our parsha. And by the way, it's also Yevarechecha in singular to also tell us, like in Sfirat HaOmer, from one side, each one of us has got his own blessing, his own talent, his own abilities. That's why Yevarechecha, like God is blessing each one of us separately, but not separately in the meaning that I am separated from the congregation. No. Separated in order to give what I've got to everybody, to the others. So I'm getting the blessing as an individual, not because I'm separated from others. I am a part from Am Yisrael. And as one that is a part of Am Yisrael, I have to use my talent. And God is blessing me that I will succeed in this, but not as an individual by itself, but as one that gives what is got to everybody else. This is the idea of Ma'amad Har Sinai. This is the idea of Sfirat HaOmer. This is the idea of Birkat Kohanim. And this goes on to the princes, the Nesi'im, the presidents of the tribes, when they decide to bring a very strange sacrifice. They are bringing one minute. One minute, I'm the wrong parasha. Sorry. Where is it? 1 minute, un momento. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? 1 minute. Here it is. ויקריבו נשיאי ישראל, ראשי בית אבותם, הם נשיאי המטות, הם העומדים על הפקודים, ויביאו את קורבנם לפני השם. They bring a sacrifice. What's the sacrifice? 6 עגלות זהב, 6 wagons, 12 בקר, and 12 oxes, עגלה על 2 נשיאים. Each 2 princes brought 1 wagon, and each one of them 1 ox, and they brought them to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe didn't know what to do with it, and then God tells him to use it for the Leviim, so they can carry all the parts of the Mishkan on those wagons. The interesting point is, we're talking about the president, the princes, they are rich people. Why didn't bring each one of them a wagon and 2 oxes? Why to bring 2 together 1 wagon and each one of them 1 ox? What is this about? By the stingy? What's the idea? But this is an unbelievable idea. What really the presidents wanted to show us, the princes, or whatever we call them, wanted to show us, is that in order to carry the wagon of Am Yisrael, you need to have your abilities, your talent, tied together to the other, and then you can carry the wagon. It's like a couple. A couple, they have to fulfill let's say they have to give to each other. Each one of us, the man and the woman, they are different people, they are different persons, and that's a man and that's a woman, and it's already different. But in order to build a home, a Jewish home, they need to go together, each one with his own talent, but take the wagon together to the same direction. Imagine to yourself that you put one at this side of the wagon, the other one at the other side. You took the oxes and you put each one on the other side. What's going to happen now? The wagon is going to break. Only when you take your own opinions and ideas and talent and ability for the same way, on the same way, and the way is the way of God, then this is united. This is to be united. Not the same, but be together. And this is the way you carry the wagon of life. This is the way you carry the wagon of Am Yisrael. That's why the princes brought 1 wagon, but each one of them 1 ox, in order to show us that each one of them is different. But still, they get together in order to carry the wagon together. Then, it's not finished. They go on. And they bring, this is, let me see, 1 minute. And then they bring another sacrifice. In other words, 12 sacrifices. Each one of the princes brings the same sacrifice exactly. Why exactly? This was the idea of Netanel ben Suar, the prince of the tribe of Issachar. And what was behind this idea? Everybody bringing the same. It's like everybody, I remember when in Antwerp, for example, when we used to be, we used to go when I was a few years ago, we used to go every summer for a month and a half to Antwerp in Belgium. And there they make a kiddush on Shabbos. It's like a wedding. It's unbelievable. It's really, it's something, it costs a fortune. Now, not everybody's got the money to do this. But you are part of the congregation. You don't want to feel like that you are the one who cannot do it. So people take loans and they get to debts. And why? For a kiddush. And one of the communities, a Hasidic community, one day the Rabbi Katz got up and said, from this day on, all the kiddushim are going to be schmaltz herring, this banana liqueur that we have, where we know that they have, and this cake lekach, this white cake, and crackers. That's it. The rich guys of the congregation says, "Wow, Rabbi, why? This is not proper. This is not the way to do it." Says the door is open. If anyone doesn't like it, you can leave. Eventually, of course, the poor people of the congregation of the Kehillah, they were very happy. Now they don't have to get to debts and take loans. This is simple kiddush. Everybody can do it. And the rich guy, in the beginning, didn't like it, but then he says, "Oh, why not? It's nobody likes to spend money." And this way, everybody was equal. The feeling was nobody felt ashamed that he cannot do this. And that was the idea of the princes. To bring, Netanel Zuar came to them and says, let's bring the same sacrifice exactly the same sacrifice. Unbelievable. And that's what they do. You have to understand, there are rich tribes, poor, not so rich, but he saw that we are all equal. We'll bring the same. Doesn't matter how much we've got. And look at it. Listen to how the Torah describes it. ויהי המקריב ביום הראשון, the first day, נחשון בן עמינדב בן יהודה וקורבנו. קרת כסף אחת 30 מהמשקלה, מזרק אחד כסף 70 שקל בשקל הקודש, שניהם מלאים סולת גלולה בשמן למנחה, כף אחת 10 זהב. I'm not translating it because the idea is they will read it in a minute. פר אחד בן בקר, עיל אחד, כבש אחד בן שנו לעולה, שעיר עזים אחד לחטאת, וזבר השלמים בקר 2, אלים 5, תותים 5, כבשים משנה 5, זה קורבן השום מן... Listen, this is not one pasuk. There are quite a few psukim describing the sacrifice. Now, this is exactly the same what each one of them brought. And the Torah tells us 12 times, each time with a different prince, the same description of the psukim of the sacrifice. The same exactly. And we all know that the Torah is very careful with the words. So what's happening here? Nevertheless, God tells Moshe Rabbeinu, you have everybody from those princes gets his own day, because they could bring all the sacrifices and sacrifice them in one day. Why do we need to separate it to different days? And also on Shabbos they did it, because God wants to show us this is so great, showing that everybody is equal, that every tribe brings the same sacrifice, to show that they are all united, that they are all like one. There are no differences between them. This is so great that the Torah is going to say 12 times the same psukim. And each one of the tribes is going to get a special day. And also on Shabbos, because Shabbos normally only a public sacrifice can be brought, but not a personal. And that was a personal sacrifice. But no, it says, this is not a personal sacrifice. If you all bring together the same thing, this is what I want. And this is Korban Tzibur. This is for the whole public. Look how beautiful the Torah is showing us the importance of being together. Though each one of the tribes has his own behavior, has his own talents, has its own abilities, they were different. They got different blessings. And also today, each one of us got his own ideas, his own talent, its own abilities. But still, we are one. And this is something we have to understand. And that's what the Torah is showing us. Showing us the idea of Sfirat HaOmer, the idea of how we get the Torah, and the idea, what is the blessing of the Kohanim? Yevarichecha, in singular, that we are all like one, and that's the way we can get the blessing. And then we have this beautiful thing to bring a wagon, two princes bringing one wagon, and each one of them bringing an ox, to show us that only when we unite our powers, we can carry the wagon the proper way. And then to bring the same sacrifice, all of the tribes, the same, all the princes bring the same sacrifice, that God gives each one of them a special day, and the Torah is mentioning all those psukim again and again and again. So what do we learn? The importance of being together, of loving each other. This is what God wants us to do. So in those few days we have before receiving the Torah, let us all look at the good in the others and take the differences away and unite our powers with those differences in order to help each other, what we can do and the other cannot do, and the one can do and you can do, but we will help and give to each other whatever we've got in order to be united to receive the Torah. And Be'ezrat Hashem, if we will get to this level, the Mashiach will come immediately. All the best. Shefa Brucho V'Atzlucha.